January 15th, 1919, Boston, Massachusetts. The Great War is over, jazz is on the rise, and America is finally ready to let loose and party. Except apparently for the molasses, because at exactly 12:40 p.m., a giant storage tank full of sticky brown syrup exploded, unleashing a 15-foot wave of molasses into the streets of Boston's North End. Yes, molasses, the slowest liquid known to man, the goop you awkwardly watched ooze out of a bottle onto pancakes. The thing your grandma called you when you were moving too slow, it wrecked everything. This is the tale of the Great Molasses Flood, Boston's most ridiculously sticky situation. And while it might sound like the setup to a Family Guy cutaway gag, this syrupy surge was very real and very deadly. Let's rewind. Why was there a giant tank filled with 2.3 million gallons of molasses on the Boston waterfront? Because molasses, my friend, was big business. In 1919, molasses wasn't just for cookies. It was used to make industrial alcohol, the stuff they turned into munitions and booze. And the United States Industrial Alcohol Company, USIA for short, wanted to cash in on the war. So they built a giant storage tank in 1915 at 529 Commercial Street, right next to Boston Harbor, and filled it to the brim with brown gold. The problem? They built the thing like it was a Pinterest DIY project, leaking from day one, groaning under pressure. And, I swear I'm not making this up, children would scoop molasses off the sidewalk beneath it. Casual molasses seepage. Very normal. On January 15th, the temperature in Boston shot up from 2 degrees Fahrenheit to over 40 degrees Fahrenheit in less than 24 hours. And that sudden heat made the cold, dense molasses expand. Combine that with a fresh delivery that overfilled the tank, and boom. The tank burst like a soda can left in a microwave, releasing a tidal wave of sticky doom. Witnesses said the ground shook like a train was passing. A deep growl echoed across the North End. And then came the wave. 25 feet wide, 15 feet tall, traveling at 35 miles per hour. Yes, 35 miles per hour. Molasses, moving faster than some school zones allow. The molasses flattened buildings, tore apart the steel supports of an elevated train, threw a truck into the harbor, crushed a firehouse. Horses were swept off their hooves. People were trapped and suffocated. One poor guy was picked up off the ground, carried 100 feet, and then smashed into a telephone pole. In total, 21 people dead, 150 injured, and a cleanup that lasted for 4 months. And if you're wondering what molasses does to a city street, apparently everything was sticky. For weeks, you could smell molasses on the wind. Boston Harbor turned brown. Police couldn't get their uniforms clean. Rescue workers left molasses footprints in other parts of the city. People claimed they could still smell it decades later. Even today, some swear that on a hot day, you can still smell the syrup. So who was responsible? The USIA immediately blamed anarchists. Yes, that's right, Molotov syrup cocktails. But after 5 years of court hearings and 1,500 pages of testimony, a judge ruled the tank was garbage. They'd skipped safety checks, never pressure tested it, and they knew it was leaking and did nothing. The victims' families were awarded $628,000 total, around $9 million today. But perhaps the greatest legacy of the molasses flood? It helped push for modern building code regulations and corporate accountability in the U.S. Because nothing says we should rethink industrial standards, quite like your city getting dunked in pancake syrup. Of course, the internet has had a field day with this. Boston's Deadliest Sweetener, the Great Syrup Tsunami, the Molassaker. And honestly, it deserves it. This was one of the dumbest disasters in American history, but also one of the weirdest, most tragic, and bizarrely important. Because while we laugh now, let's not forget, this really happened. And it only happened because someone thought, close enough, was an acceptable engineering principle. So, the next time you're stuck behind someone moving at the speed of molasses, just remember that syrup once leveled a neighborhood, crushed buildings, and dunked Boston like a waffle. Like, subscribe, and let us know your favorite historical facepalm. And hey, maybe don't build massive tanks of goo next to your city's train tracks. Just a thought.